We are back with the second episode of Barry Bonds is Back. This is Bo, the 5-tool player. Barry is hitting over 300 so far and is looking to keep things moving in the right direction as he attempts to help push the San Francisco Giants into the postseason. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow and it all helps. I'm just a real dude using an AI voice to express my love for baseball and MLB The Show. Let's go. Bonds and the Giants are on the road to begin this episode, which finds the team in the month of May. In H-Town, facing the hated Houston Astros, and Bonds is taking no prisoners. After struggling to make contact a bit early in the series, he seemed to be locked in against Astros pitching and punishing the ball to all fields. There is no shame in struggling to hit a tough lefty like the Astros' Framber Valdez, but if you're Bonds, you expect to hit everybody hard. Nonetheless, it wasn't the worst start to the month of May. Bonds was doing his usual, getting on base via the walk, and he started making better contact, including his 11th home run of the season off Phil Maton. Bonds is on pace to do some major damage in the home run department this season. It's not a historic pace like the one he set in 2001 when he hit a major league record 73 home runs. Through May, Bonds had an insane 28 homers, and perhaps even more amazing, Bonds was hot trash the first 7 games of that season. Bonds was hitting just 103 with 1 home run. All Bonds did was hit 72 home runs in the final 155 games of the season. Next, the Giants and Bonds found themselves in Milwaukee against the Brew Crew. During his career, Bonds had a .359 batting average against the Brewers, which is his highest against any National League team. However, Bonds couldn't seem to make good contact throughout the series, but his patience at the plate helped him remain productive. Finally, before things were over in the series, Bonds was able to get a few big hits for his squad. Unfortunately, the success was short-lived as disaster struck. The Giants and Bonds hosted the Washington Nationals and Steven Strasburg. Following a fly out to right field against Strasburg, Bonds suffered a dislocated shoulder. It is a huge blow to the Giants and this series. I low-key didn't think about turning injuries off, and now Bonds is hurt. Thanks to MLB The Show's auto-save, there was no way for me to back out of the injury. The fewest games Bonds played in a season was 14 in 2005 when he was 40 years old. Bonds still hit 5 home runs in that short period of time that year. Anyways, we made the best of it, though Bonds was out 2 to 3 months with a return date landing just after the All-Star break. Thankfully for Bonds and the Giants, the team was able to stay competitive without their best player in the lineup. In Bonds' absence, Jock Peterson emerged as the team's top offensive producer. He earned a trip to the All-Star game and a spot in the Home Run Derby. That stung because Bonds was leading the majors in home runs when he got hurt and amongst the league leaders in other categories. Peterson literally has the 2 coveted spots Bonds would have occupied. Nevertheless, we have to move on. Bonds finally returns in the first series after the All-Star festivities. Bonds wasted no time showing his worth as he exploded on the Pirates with a huge game. Bonds didn't homer once. He homered twice to run his total to 13 on the season despite playing in a limited amount of games. It appeared as though he might be picking up where he left off, and perhaps with about 2.5 months remaining in the season, Bonds could push his homer total to 30. Unfortunately, Bonds started to show some signs of struggle toward the end of the series with the Pirates. He wasn't making enough consistent contact and his batting average began to dip. When the Giants headed to Cincinnati for a series, things started to fall apart in a major way. Bonds was striking out at an uncharacteristic clip for him. He looked to be officially in Strugglesville, and the main culprit appeared to be compromised bat speed. Bonds was getting beaten by high fastballs, which is unlike him in his prime. The Giants hosted the Washington Nationals, a team Bonds had his second highest career hits and home run totals against. Bonds had 252 of his 935 career hits and 65 of his 762 career home runs against the Nationals/Expos. Unfortunately, things were barely improved for Bonds in this series. He continued to struggle to make solid contact, and the strikeouts were piling up. He did find a way to make something of an impact with a few timely hits and runs batted in, but those isolated instances didn't prevent Bonds' batting average from plummeting. If Bonds doesn't rescue his season, which was already derailed by a serious injury, his hopes of putting up serious numbers in his return season will be out of the window. Perhaps the taste of home cooking will get Bonds out of his slump. Maybe not. The Giants and Barry hosted the Oakland Athletics, and we got more of the same for Barry. In fact, it might have been his worst series of the year. Bonds couldn't make much contact at all as he racked up strikeouts like they were going out of style. Something has to give, as this is getting depressing watching the demise of one of the greatest players of all time. Bonds didn't have a ton of career at-bats against Oakland during his career as he wasn't around for a ton of interleague play. But in 52 games against the Giants' Bay Area rivals, Bonds hit .329 with 18 home runs and 33 runs batted in. If only he could have summoned some of that magic in this series. In the next series, Bonds and the Giants tangled with the Boston Red Sox. While we still weren't looking at prime Bonds, we did get to see a few glimpses of the monster that we saw before the dislocated shoulder uprooted this fantasy season. Were there more strikeouts? Yes, but there was also a titanic blast of a home run off tough Boston lefty James Paxton. It was everything the Giants and Bonds needed, as it was his first home run in nearly 3 series. That's a ton of at-bats without a home run for a slugger of Bonds' caliber. As the Giants head into August, they are in the wild card race with a 52-53 record with about 57 more games left in the season. Is a 30-home run season still realistic for Bonds? With his batting average down in the 250s, is a 300 season still feasible? More importantly for the Giants, can Bonds help push them to the postseason? Thanks to the injury and the subsequent slump, the theme of this YouTube series has changed from a pure stat watch for Bonds to something else.